until her final piano student left to go to wherever she was going, whether it was post-secondary or whatever. She taught piano lessons out of her room in the retirement home, and that kept her lucid. But then the moment her last student was gone, she, you know, just like, you know, she's like 99 at this point, you know, she's like just purely like, you know, I mean, she probably could have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but honestly, maybe not. You know what I mean? It's just like she was at. Once you get that old, they just don't. You know, they don't. Really, it's just like, well, yeah, it's to be expected. But like, anyway, I'm getting off topic. Basically, you go into a retirement home. Yeah, it's really weird. It's scary. I think you said it was terrifying. I think is what word you used.
One of those words.
One of those scary ones.
Yeah.
I think it's like going into a hospital and having the fuck, you know, the whatever you call it.
Nurses.
No, like the neonatal, like, you know, like the infant wards.
Uh-huh.
Like you have all the rooms with all the people giving birth and all the good and bad things that can entail. And like the neonatal units, you got all that on one side, and then on the other side you got palliative care, and like everyone's dying. Yeah. You know, it's just like, it's like walking down the middle of that, but like,
and you see
kind of a little closer to the dead side. You know, it's really weird. 'Cause, I mean, I guess the fresh faced aspects, newborn aspects, whatever, or, you know, it's mostly just the building. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yes, you know, like, it's so nice here. There's nice curtains and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's just super, like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're made to look like a fucking little retirement paradise or something. And
yeah, and you know what? That's why it's so weird. It's the juxtaposition of, you know, people decaying amongst like
just slowly losing their minds.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I remember watching my grandmother do that whole descent with dementia over the course of like 9 years, and eventually hitting the nursing home, and for sure it sped up, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so plain as day. And it's just like, they need to be around young living people and they'll feel better. And they're just like, they put them all in this one crazy scene. We're all going crazy and dying really slowly house. And feel bad for the ones that go in there feeling a little like spry, and they just like, who knows why they're there or whatever. And I'm sure there's different tiers of nursing homes too. There's probably ones with really extreme care, and then ones with like, we're just enjoying our retirement in our 50s with our, you know, freshly silver hair. And, you know, some of the ones, they just show the old people with their arm around their wife smiling, and the sun's hitting them just right, and there's like a pond they can fucking sit on a bench and look at. It's just, but yeah, it's so scary. So I looked up the deinstitutionalization thing I brought up. Deinstitutionalization is the process of replacing long-stay psychiatric hospitals with less isolated community mental health services for those diagnosed with a mental disorder or a developmental disability. In the late 20th century, it led to the closure of many psychiatric hospitals as patients were increasingly cared for at home or in halfway houses, clinics, and regular hospitals. Deinstitutionalization works in two ways. The first focuses on reducing the population size of mental institutions by releasing patients, shortening stays, and reducing both admissions and readmission rates. The second focuses on reforming psychiatric care to reduce or avoid encouraging, in parentheses, feelings of dependency, homelessness, and other behaviors that make it hard for patients to adjust to a life outside of care. So they wanted to reduce the size of the populations in the institutions by shortening stays and reducing the amount of people coming in and re-coming in. And then the second tried to reform the actual care to reduce or avoid encouraging feelings of dependency or homelessness. The modern deinstitutionalization movement was initiated by three factors: a socio-political movement for community mental health services and open hospitals, the advent of psychotropic drugs able to make psychotic episodes, the advent of psychotropic drugs able to manage psychotic episodes, financial imperatives in the U.S. specifically to shift costs from state to federal budgets. The move to reduce institutionalized the movement to reduce institutionalization was met with wide acceptance in Western countries, though its effects have been subject of many debates. Some experts, such as E. Fuller Torrey, have argued that deinstitutionalization was a mistake, while others, such as Thomas Snaz, S.Z., argue it did not provide enough freedom for patients. Others have argued that it was an improvement on the system that existed before. Psychiatrist Leon Eisenberg had argued that it has generally been beneficial for psychiatric patients, while noting that some were left homeless or without care. So there is definitely a portion of the homeless population that is the result of the institutionalization. So then, what do you do about that? Is it better for them to be homeless or to be institutionalized? Because would it be just as bad as what I imagine every nursing home is, where you're just putting all the crazy mentally ill people in the same place, and then they're just going to be crazy and mentally ill together and might even exaggerate it worse?
Yeah.
Or is it the reality that there's just not enough, where are these people's families? Where are the people that are supposed to be taking care of these people? I mean,
yeah, that's
I find it crazy. It's like, I'm going to dump my mom and dad in a retirement home, or I'm going to dump this brother or kid of mine that's mentally challenged or something. Like, maybe the culture is more sick than the idea that the government's trying to fucking write policies about.
Yeah, it's trying to fix a problem, but they're trying to fix a symptom. Of the underlying problem, but man, it sucks.
Maybe the problem's better defined as just the devaluation of family and that bond. It seems like everything's so live for yourself beyond.
Yeah, you know what? When I was a lot younger, I was always not. What's the word I'm looking for here? Definitely not weirded out. What's the word? Anyway, basically, my dad and aunt's father, my paternal grandfather, has always lived with Dina, my aunt, his daughter. Mm-hmm. Always. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I'd hate it if my mom and dad lived with me and moved into my place or whatever, and with my family or whatever, blah blah blah. But that was I was very small.
A small boy.
Very small boy with a small mind,
It was smaller.
Yeah, But, now, I'm sure it has its ups and downs. Everything does. But, honestly, I think I'd prefer it.
Yeah.
And I think he's held on a lot longer because of it. I mean, it makes sense. My cousin just had a... What was it? Yeah. My cousin, so my aunt's son, the oldest one, he and his wife Julia just had their first child, and it's great. It's a cute little baby boy.
Cute little baby boy.
Elijah. Anyway, so that means, that'd be my grandfather's first great grandchild.
Yes.
And it has put such a pep in his step.
Oh no! I just got a call from my boss, Ian Armour. So sorry, Ian. I'll have to call you back.
All it took was just a little baby popping up, and he's just as sharp as he ever was.
That's rad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, new life, man. I can only imagine what it's like seeing. What's his first great grandchild?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be unreal. Being at that place in your life, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Actually, my mom's mom just had her first great grandchild too, because the inverse, basically. Yeah, literally the inverse. Swap all the genders of the description I just gave you, and that's what happened on my mother's side of the family too.
Wow. Swap all the genders.
You know what I mean. But, right? So, on my dad's side, my dad's daughter's son had a kid. And on my mom's side, my mom's son's daughter had Straight up.
Holy fuck, that's like a mandala of sons and daughters.
Yeah, that's what family trees turn into. I had big ambitions to make one, but boy, George, is it a fuck ton of work.
Yeah.
I fully intend on like hashing it out and making it good and detailed and everything else, but like, whew, it's very humbling.
Yeah, I've been really fascinated by the ideas of my ancestors.
And even just you know, you don't really realize how exponentially it takes off. Like, sure, you can chart it linearly, but then it's like, what about literally everybody else, you know? Like, I'm getting notifications on Ancestry.ca or whatever the site's called, saying like, oh, we found like, you know, a 4th or 5th or 6th cousin of yours or whatever, you know? Like, that's just insanely far out there. And I got a message from a woman from somewhere in the United States. She had like a German-looking-ish last name. But, you know, and then the site's like, she's related, you know, to whatever it was. Like, it's fucked. Like, great-uncle's 3rd marriages. Like, insane. As far as you can be, basically. But still, like, you know, technically related or whatever. And she was just like... she just rattled off all these German names, and I was just like... She asked me, like, which side of the stream did you flow down or whatever? And I was just like, I don't think I've responded to her yet because I didn't have an answer. I was just like, listen, you've gone real deep into this, and I am just barely scratching the surface, and I have no idea who the fuck anyone you just said is or whatever. Like, even anyway.
Man, Robin's mother is wild into this stuff with her own lineage.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of cool because she knows such random stories about like specific people and specific stories. Like, oh, this person was in this war in Germany like 500 years ago. Blah blah blah. And it's just some crazy war story about some old relative.
Yeah.
And I think it really humanizes the narrative of history because we just hear about all the big political moves and the wars, but there was human beings living normal lives throughout all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And what was the fucking family life like in Rome, you know, or Egypt, or I just feel like that doesn't get talked about a whole crap load. Mm-hmm. You just get, I mean, I've never dug into history super deep. I've just only ever watched like the odd documentary where it can just, all it can do is give you the quick synopsis. Mm-hmm. All right, all this shit happened in an hour. You cover thousands of years in an hour of TV. It's like, what about... Yeah, so it's...
I did it!
No, history. So, I just think you know, the devil's in the details. So, I want to know what were these people's lives like. So, it's kind of cool that she's spearheading, looking into it all so much.
Yeah. It's definitely it's like, I would say that's like, you know, those shitty type questionnaire, maybe like job interview-esque fucking, you know... questions like, what are your hobbies and interests? Yeah, you know, that's what I would put. Yeah, I'd put that. Yeah, family tree making. That's a hobby or an interest. It's not. I can't be bothered. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
It's so much. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a lot of it.
Like in high school, like I'd ask, you know, because even at the time, I'd just only been playing music for a little bit, and I was like, you know, they'd be like. Or I would be like, because like I knew that music was more important to me than just a, you know, hobby or interest or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would clarify with the teacher or something, be like, so, and you'd be like, no, you play the guitar. It's a hobby. And I was just like, nah.
Yeah, it's hard.
I guess.
It's hard to make people understand the feeling of playing music. Like, it really hits some people and really doesn't do anything for other people.
Yeah, man, it's insane to me.
Yeah.
You know, you can probably remember the time before you didn't.
For sure. It was life-changing.
How much, yeah, and how much more, what's the word? How much more ambient everything, musically speaking, was, you know?
Yeah.
I just remember as a little kid just running around, being a little kid. There was the radio on or the record player was on because my folks had one, thankfully enough. But you know, it was just I sneezed.
No, he fucking got startled and hissed at me.
Oh. Cool with you.
Yeah, I scared him. Sorry, buddy.